Hi, boys and girls. This is going to be the first session of our babysitting class. We're going to have 3 sessions, all of which will be for 2 hours. I have you all to myself this afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to share you with Officer Dan from the police department. And on Thursday afternoon, I'm going to share you with Lieutenant Spahn from the fire department. This is going to be a really fun 3 days for all of us, and it's going to provide you with some really wonderful tools to make you be a super babysitter. The most important thing you're going to learn in this babysitting class is going to be how to prevent accidents, how to keep that child that's in your care safe, and last but not least, to be a real friend to the child. It's easy to be a friend to the child, but the most important thing is to keep that child safe, to prevent accidents, and should the child get injured, to be a responsible person and know what to do in a case of emergency. I want you all to think about what you think would make a good babysitter. One word. Makes me behave. Okay, now, how many have something on their papers like being creative? Okay. How about fun? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How about nice? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. How about something like not bossy or something similar? Sensitive. Sensitive? Okay, let's start. Kristen.
Caring.
Caring. How about caring? Karen? Okay.
Level-headed.
Level-headed. That sort of comes under being responsible.
Oh, mine up there.
Okay, let's start with this table. Amy?
Happy.
Happy. Oh, we do like happy faces. Okay, okay. Any more? Is there anything else? Yes.
Kind.
Kind. I think we had kind, didn't we? No, we didn't have kind. Okay, anybody else?
Respectable.
Respectable. That's it. Looks like we like our babysitters to be nice, responsible, and friendly. The ones, and these are, this absolutely is the most important one. And there's another one that's very important. Whoever wrote level-headed. Level-headed means probably that if there was an emergency, somebody wouldn't get very panicked. They're using your head in a level way. Respectable. This is a good one. And being prepared. They're all excellent. There's one that nobody mentions, nobody ever mentions, and I think it's probably all taken for granted. A good babysitter likes children. If you don't like children, you probably shouldn't be babysitting. Not everybody likes to care for, be responsible for all children. If somebody calls you and says to you, I have a 9-month-old baby, would you babysit? And if you don't care to babysit for a 9-month-old baby, if you don't care to feed bottles, and if you don't care to diaper, then you say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to. If you are 11 years old, you probably should be babysitting during the daytime and not too much into the evening, because after all, you are only 11 years old. When you accept a babysitting job for midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, you perhaps should be 13 years old. Now, I know that some kids start babysitting earlier, and some kids also start babysitting until midnight or 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning before they're 13 years old. These are just the guidelines that I am telling you. When you get a call from a babysitter, from a parent, If you don't know that parent, don't accept the babysitting job unless that parent says to you, Susie Jones recommended you. So what you say to the parent over the phone before you say yes, you'll babysit is, may I get back to you? I'll call you back this evening. So what do you suppose you would do meanwhile, Erin? You call Susie Jones, and you say to Susie Jones, Mrs. Smith just called me, wants me to babysit. Did you recommend me? And what does she think about Mrs. Smith? And that's perfectly okay to do. Your parents don't want you babysitting for anybody you don't know, and I don't want you babysitting for anybody you don't know. But it's perfectly okay to if you know somebody that knows that parent. When the parent calls, the first thing you do is you ask them, what time will you be home? Because if it is beyond your curfew, you say to them, I'm sorry, but I have to be in at 11 o'clock, and 12 o'clock is just too late. My parents won't let me babysit. If you're uncomfortable saying, I can't babysit until midnight, just simply say, and your parents will be very happy to shoulder this, just simply say, my parents won't let me. And believe me, those parents of the baby will respect you so much for being that honest with them. And you all must have curfews. I'm sure your parents don't want you babysitting until late at night, especially on a school night. And you have to be honest with people. And I would prefer to think that none of you are going to take babysitting jobs until midnight on school nights. And if people do call you, just simply say, I'm sorry, it's a school night and I can't babysit. Sometimes parents say, oh, please, it's just once. Say, I'm very sorry, but I can't. And they will respect you. You also ask if you will be picked up. And the parent will say, I hope, yes. If you live 3 doors down, and if it's during the day, there's no problem with you walking 3 doors down to babysit, is there? And if it's 7 o'clock in the evening when you come home and it's light out, there's no problem with you walking home. But I don't want you walking home if it's dark, even if it's next door. If it's next door, somebody should walk you home. And what you simply say is to the parent, okay, we're ready to go home. Would you walk me home, please? And if you feel uncomfortable saying to the parent who's assuming you're going to walk home by yourself, if you're uncomfortable saying, will you please walk me home, you just simply say, I'm going to call my mother and she's going to walk over and walk me home. Don't walk home by yourselves. And everything I say to you in this course, I can't stress enough. And I'm saying it because things have happened. And this won't be a scare tactic by any means, but you know all the little programs we have done from you from the first time, the Better Safe and Sorry programs, and they're all done to keep you safe. I want to keep you safe as well as your children that you're babysitting for. Another thing that's a little uncomfortable for babysitters is to be very specific about your rates. Now, somebody needs to tell me what the going rate is. It changes each year. What is the going rate? Let's say for evenings. Evenings would be from probably 5 o'clock until 10, 11. Yeah, Kristen?
I usually get,
No, you, Chrissy.
I usually get like $2.50
$2.50 an hour?
at night, yeah.
Okay, is that what about everybody gets, $2.50? All right, what about after midnight? Okay, let's say $2.50 in the evenings. Now these are going to be we're deciding this, okay? So these will be little averages for you to use. Okay, after midnight, I would say $3 an hour. What do you guys say? Does that sound good? Okay. $3 to $3.50 after midnight, okay? All right, during the daytime, now I'm just going to pick a figure. I would say anywheres from $1.75 to $2.50 during the daytime. How does that sound? No. All right, tell me. $2, all right? $2 for the daytime. Okay, now, you have 2 choices when a parent calls. You can say right off, my rates are blip, blip, blip. Or your other choice is to take what they give you. If you have not told them what your rate is, and they give you $1 an hour, please don't say to them, you didn't give me enough. You just take it and go on your way, and it's your choice whether or not you want to babysit for those people again. Or you can say to them, I'm sorry, I should have told you that my rates are $2 or $2.50 an hour, so the next time I babysit, you now know what my rates are. But don't, if you have not told them what your rates are ahead of time, Don't stand there and say you didn't give me enough money, because what are you going to do to your respectability in the eyes of those parents? Not much. Also over the phone, ask what other expectations they have for you. Now, if they say, I would like you to make all the beds, I'd like you to do the washing, I'd like you to do all the dishes, and please clean up the kids' room. And you can say to yourself, I'll get back to you this evening, and just simply call them back and say, I'm sorry I'm not available, or I can't do it, because you're not there to be the maid. You're there to take care of the child. So if they say to you, oh, I don't have any expectations of you other than to take care of my child and keep my child safe, that's what you want to hear. Or they may say, feed them supper, or they may say, give the child a bath. If you're not comfortable giving a child a bath, don't take the job. But be polite. Always, always, always be polite. This next area is going to be ethics. This is going to be sort of looking at yourself. We've hung up the phone. We've decided to accept the babysitting job or not. Before you go over there, you need to know all these wonderful things that I'm about to tell you. Do you know yourself? Do you have a temper? If you have a temper, and if you get angry very easily, and if you cannot tolerate the antics of a little 3-year-old who's running all around and getting into everything, don't babysit for that 3-year-old. Know yourself before you accept the job. Can you handle a messy diaper? You can all handle a messy diaper. Do you want to handle a messy diaper? If you don't, if it makes you really gag, and you can't do it, and you can't do it properly, don't babysit for a child who needs their diaper changed. Because even a little 18-month-older, even if the baby's in bed, and you say, oh, I won't have to change the baby's diaper, and the mother will say, don't worry about it, the baby's in bed. What if the baby wakes up crying? And you know the baby needs the diaper changed. Don't let the baby stay there in that messy diaper. So do know yourself. If you can't handle it or you don't care to do these things, that's perfectly okay. Just don't do it. Okay. Another thing that is not a very popular thing every time I say this, but I mean it. No friends. I don't want anybody to start telling me, but it's okay with my parents, it's okay with the people that I babysit for. I understand all of those situations. I'm telling you, no friends. If the people you're babysitting for say to you, it's okay to bring a friend, don't take a friend with you. Why are you taking a friend with you? What is the purpose of taking a friend with you? I cannot, in my mind, foresee any reason why a person would bring a friend. I don't bring my friends when I come here to take care of you all during the day, except for Mrs. Kosh when she arrives. But she helps me take care of you, too. Yes. That might be the only circumstance, if you got a call to take care of 6 children, that would be the only condition that you would want to take a friend with you. If you have somebody sleeping over, what you do is you call the people and you say to them, I'm real sorry, I have some unexpected out-of-town guests, because of course this is unexpected. I can't babysit for you tonight. If you cannot find somebody else, I will leave my friend at home and I will still babysit. And the parent will probably say, oh, bring your friend. Don't, because that friend is going to distract you. You're there to just pay attention to that child and only that child. Please don't bring any friends. Only the one circumstance that we talked about. And that has to be okay with the parent who's called you and with your own parents. Yes? If there's an emergency, you're going to be calling all kinds of people. But you don't go babysitting with a friend in an emergency situation. If there's an emergency, yes, you call everybody, but you don't call your friend. Because your friend won't be any more help than you will be in an emergency. Also, if when you go babysitting, if on the counter there isn't any Coke, and if there aren't any chips, and if there aren't any cookies, and if the mother doesn't say anything about eating, guess what you don't do? You don't eat. Isn't that wonderful? And if you babysit again, and if that mother still doesn't say anything about eating, it's perfectly okay to pack in your little bag some popcorn or whatever you want to eat after the child goes to bed. But don't eat anything, even a cookie, unless the parent has said it's okay for you to eat it. Now, I know this sounds way out, but I mean it. Because you don't know, you might be eating the cookie that mother has saved for a very special tea the next afternoon. And is she going to be happy with you if she comes and finds the package open and a couple of cookies taken out? No. She's not gonna, she might, in fact, you might not even get an invitation back to babysit. Did I see a question? Find out what equipment you may use. Now, this is all, you've already made the contract, you're now coming to the house, and you're now asking all these questions before you even get to babysit. May I use the television? May I use a stereo? I wouldn't ask if you could use a stereo because that's just kind of not a thing to do. The parent will tell you if you can use a stereo. May I use the television? If you want to watch television, you ask if you may use it. Don't assume it's okay to use it. What if you break it? What if you screw up some video or something that's in it? Ask if you may use the television. Don't take any videotapes with you. That's really not a neat, cool thing to do. Don't use a stereo, don't use a compact disc, don't use anything unless the parent has said to you, it's okay to use it. Don't bring your records, don't bring your tapes, don't do any of those things unless it's prearranged and okayed by the parent. No matter what the parent says you can use, you don't even attempt to use it until the child is sound asleep. Just as a little side note, you are paid to watch the children, not the television. That's supposed to be funny, and nobody's laughing. Dress neatly. Now, how you all are dressed here tonight is perfect to go babysitting. When I say dress neatly, I don't mean put a skirt on and get all dutied up. But don't go dirty. Don't go sloppy. Make sure your hair looks clean. Make sure your fingernails are clean. Make sure your hands are clean. Don't come out of the garden or out of the sandbox. Nancy's playing in sandboxes, but don't just peel off the beach and then go babysitting. Look neat, look clean, look exactly like you look now. A smile on your face wouldn't hurt either. Be on time. Don't be late. Now, this, of course, is if you're running next door. When the parent comes to pick you up, don't say, oh, just a minute, I have to wash my hair first. Be on time. And don't break a commitment. Remember, I said to you that if you had an unexpected friend that came, you call and say, I just had an unexpected friend. Could you find somebody else to babysit? If not, I will be there on the time you want me to. Don't break a commitment, no matter what. There's only one circumstance that you break a commitment. Two circumstances, Erin? Exactly. A family emergency. And the other one would be? Yes, if you're sick. And if you feel sick, don't go taking care of a young child who's then going to be just as sick as you are a couple days later. I don't even need to tell you kids this, but I have to tell you this, that I know that I can, that somebody else mentioned about being trusting. People's belongings do in fact belong to people. So I don't want you to go in any other room other than the kitchen, the bathroom, the child's bedroom, and the family room or wherever else you're supposed to be camping out for the night. Don't go anywhere else. Don't open up drawers. It's not necessary for you to open up any cabinets, any drawers, anything, unless you have to go there for something. It's just don't start it. Some babysitters, they start doing stuff like that, and it becomes a very common thing to do. Then they get themselves in trouble. Don't even start. You don't like people going through your things. Remember, you need to respect somebody else's things, like you like to be respected. Sometimes, this is sometimes a little tricky. If you're going to be babysitting until about 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 is awfully late for you kids, but if it's going to be after midnight, and you have a tendency to fall asleep, ask the parent before they leave, is it okay if I take a nap? Now, presumably, you're going to take a nap on the couch, or, let's back up. If the child is on, if it's like a one-floor house, it's okay to take a nap on the couch on that same floor. If the children are upstairs, where do you suppose you would take a nap?
Upstairs.
Upstairs, where you can hear the child. Don't leave the kids upstairs and you nap downstairs, because you're not going to hear those kids if they wake up crying. So before the parent leaves, if you have a tendency to fall asleep, Ask if it's okay if you take a nap. If they say no, if you have trouble staying awake, then don't babysit again after midnight. Leave the house as you found it. Pick up your own messes, pick up the kids' messes, do your own dishes. You do not have to leave the house better than you found it. Just leave it as you found it. Don't do the dishes until the kids go to bed, and don't pick up until the kids go to bed. But please don't leave a mess. And if you have to get a child ready for bed, don't leave a pile of wrinkled clothes just plopped on the floor, even though they may be dirty. Make them look a little tidy, or put them in the laundry or wherever else parent may want you to put them. Don't leave the bath towel crumpled like you probably do in your own rooms. Just leave it neat and tidy and folded. Ask the parent if the child, where the toothbrushes are. The child should always brush their teeth before going to bed, shouldn't they, Mrs. Kosh? If the child is all ready for bed before you get there, presumably the child's already brushed their teeth, already all washed up, that's not a problem. But if you feed the child, make sure you wash the child's face and hands and brush the teeth before they go to bed. Be a friend to the child. When you come to babysit, the nicest thing that will happen to you is the child will run up to you and be so happy to see you. And children love to be played with. And one reason they love babysitters is because they're fun, they're happy, they're exciting, they're creative. They're all these things that you kids talked about earlier. Play with the kids. Get on your hands and knees and play games with the kids. Read them stories. Don't watch television unless it's a television program that their parent has said it's okay for them to watch. And then when you do that, you sit next to them and watch the same television program. Don't be doing something else while they're watching television. Be a friend to the kids. If you don't like to play games, if you don't like to read stories, don't babysit. It's as simple as that. Another thing that's kind of a tricky thing, and a lot of kids run into this problem, is let's say you're babysitting for a second grader on a Saturday afternoon, and the second grader's friend comes over. Do not let another child in. You're only babysitting for the child of the parents that are paying you. Don't let another child in that house for you to be watching, because now you're responsible for somebody else's children. Just say to that child, when your mommy comes home, then your friend can come over. And I know that you probably all have done this before, but from this point on, don't do it. It's just protecting yourself and the other child. Any questions on what to do now? We haven't even been introduced to the child yet. Okay. Tomorrow, Officer Bouchard is coming, and he is going to be bringing with him pads for you all. And on these pads are the babysitter, the parent's name, address, home telephone number, work telephone number, but this is provided they're at work while you're babysitting. Special instructions, children's names, ages, bedtimes, where the parents are going to be, who to call if you can't reach them, what time they'll be home, and telephone numbers. Now, you'll be getting a full pad like this. When you run out of them, or before you run out of them, have your parents Xerox them. This is wonderful. And if you go to your babysitting person with your little pad of paper and your pencil and you say, I need this information before you leave, are they going to be impressed with you? They will be very impressed with you. This is important information should you have any problems. The only thing it doesn't have on here, and I want you to make sure you know this, know where your parents are. When you're babysitting, know exactly where your parents are and where your parents may be reached. This is the only phone call that I am going to say is okay for you to make while you're babysitting, and that's to your own parents. If you have a question, you're not sure about something, call your mother or your father or your aunt. But don't call your sister and just talk. I'm talking about just calling your parents. While we're talking about phones, you know how I really was very firm about no friends? I am just as firm about no phone calls, none whatsoever. Now, you probably have all babysat and you probably have all been talking on the phone. It's not the thing to do. If I ever hear that any of you are making phone calls while you're babysitting, I am going to be most upset. I don't want to hear any of you making phone calls while you're babysitting. Reasons why. What if the parent of the child had an emergency, wanted to get back to you and your phone was busy? What if your parents wanted to call you? Don't talk on the phone, except to your own parents. Now, if somebody calls you, your friend by some reason finds out where you're babysitting, you just simply say to them, I'm sorry I can't talk to you, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Don't talk on the phone. Okay, before parents leave, now these are the important things to get written down on your little pads of paper here. Silly as it seems, you need to ask the child's full name, because perhaps Mr. and Mrs. Smith have asked you to babysit for their child who is now called Johnny Jones. Get the full name, first and last name of the child that you're babysitting for. Get the child's age. Ask where the child's favorite toys are, the child's favorite book, the child's favorite game. Ask what the child likes to do. Ask what bedtime, and there is a time for bedtime on this little pad of paper. Something that you probably won't have to ask, or the parents will tell you, but if they don't, you ask. Does the child have any allergies? Does he have a bee sting allergy? Is he allergic to cats? Is he allergic to anything? Does he have any medical conditions that you should be aware of? Yes.
Shouldn't you ask not just allergies, but also if they're afraid of something?
Yes, fears.
My neighbor is afraid of my dogs.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Ask if the child has any fears. What can the child eat, as well as yourself? If you want to ask, what can I eat? Do you need to give the child a bath? Yes or no? With the parent's full name. There's room for that on this pad of paper. And there's room for all this additional information on this pad of paper, too. You can squeeze it in other places on this pad. Get the child's full name, the parent's full name, where they're going to be, not just the telephone number, but get the name of the place where they're going to be, because maybe by a mistake they've given you the wrong telephone number. If they have, if you don't know where they are, you won't be able to find out where they are. So get the name of the place where they're going to be and the telephone number. On here is a place for their neighbor or somebody else to call. Get a neighbor's number or a friend of the family's number. Now, some of this information, if you go back to the same place, you'll be able to use twice. You won't have to ask all these questions each time. You would ask these questions each time you babysat for a new family. Now, this might seem silly too, but you need to know exactly where it is you're babysitting. Don't just let the parent come pick you up and take you to their house and have them go. And there's a place for it. You need to know what the address is of the place that you're babysitting and the telephone number. And the reason is, of which the fireman and the policeman will go over with you, is that what if there was a fire in the house? You race to the phone to pick up the telephone, call the fire department, and you said, I'm Leanne Simpson, and I am calling to report a fire. And the fire dispatcher is going to say, where are you? And you're going to say, I don't know. Know the address where you are. Also know the adjoining streets. And now South Road comes down here in Chase. Does Chase Road come into South Road? Yes, yes. Okay. Now, if you're close to Chase Road, you say, I'm on South Road, Chase Road comes right into me. Know the names of the adjoining streets, and that's in case of fire, so you can give accurate information to the fire department so they can get there faster. Ask where the Band-Aids are. Now, the first time you babysit for a family, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get all these questions. And you won't have to do this again the second time. This is just the first time you babysit for a new family. Ask where the Band-Aids are and any other first aid materials. Fire extinguishers. Now, the fire department will go over this with you, but ask where the fire extinguishers are and smoke detectors. If there aren't, there aren't. Hopefully there will be. In the newer houses, they have to have smoke detectors. If you ask where the fire, just simply ask. Don't ask, do you have any? Assume that they do have some. Say, please show me where your fire extinguishers are and your smoke detectors. And if they don't have any, you probably are going to tap their consciousness a little bit so that they will get them. They'll assume that you assume that they have them, so maybe the next time that they will have them for you. Make sure you know where the exits are, because there's 2 exits to every house or every apartment building. And you need to know where both of them are in case there's a fire. In this part, you need to know where and I don't want to get too much into fires because I want the fire department to you ask all questions regarding fires to the fire department, okay? Please don't ask me any because they need to be asked questions. Bring your own flashlight. Don't assume that they have a flashlight. You can buy a little disposable flashlight and stick it in your purse. Now this, of course, is in case there's a thunderstorm and all the lights go out, and let's say, and perhaps the family doesn't have a flashlight. You will have your own flashlight. That's an important thing to remember. Know where the telephones are located are. You'd hear the ring, ring, ring of a telephone and not where it is and spend 10 minutes running around the house looking for it. Now, you must know, and you will be getting a little ticket that says what the fire department number is and what the police department number is. What I want you to do, I've asked the fireman, Lieutenant Spond, that he's the gentleman who's coming. I've asked him if he'll bring 2 for you. One for you to put in your purse, your little wallet, so whatever it is you carry, and the other to stick at home. Probably all of you have them anyway, but in case you don't, you'll have one to stick on your phones at home and one to keep in your wallet at all times. Inside your book, on the front page with all the other loose materials, is the number of the poison control. Now, this one is printed. Some of them are not printed. Some of them are printed with our own writing because they couldn't send us any more. Is there one that looks like it? Yeah, no. One that looks like it's... Who's got one that's got handwriting on it? Okay, hold it up, please. Right. That's the one that's got the handwriting on it. And this is what it looks like. Put this in your purse also. That way, which we'll talk about poisons later, but if there is a poison situation, you will know exactly where to call. So this and the fire and police department number go right in your purse and stay with you at all times. Yes, question?
Which number do we call? There's 2 numbers.
On the poison control number, the 800 number, call the 800 number because that will be won't be a toll charge. Okay, we've talked about parents coming after you, expecting what time you are to be ready, what time you'll be picked up. We've talked about being prompt and being on time. We've talked about never, ever, ever walking home by yourself in the dark. Under no circumstances. If it's something that you've been doing, stop doing it. Do you all remember what I told you could do? If the parents did not offer to walk you home and you were not comfortable asking them to walk you home, do you remember what I said you can do, Christy? Yes, right. No matter where your parents are, you call them and have this prearranged. You tell your mother or your father or somebody at home, if I have any difficulty having somebody walk me home, I'm going to be calling you. And your parents will say, please, by all means, call me, and I'll come pick you up. You need to be comfortable. This is being responsible. Let's talk about going home. Very simply, if it's during the daytime and you live a couple houses down, you can walk home by yourself. If you live a couple houses down and it's evening time, it's dark, you ask somebody to walk you home. Now, if you live on the other side of town, you need a ride home. And either the mother or the father will drive you home. That's no problem. What if parents have come home late at night, it's about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and when they come through the door, you can smell alcohol very, very strongly. Now, we've all heard about hopping in cars with people who have been drinking. Now, here you are, where the fathers come home or mothers come home, and they've obviously been drinking very, very heavily. And they say, okay, Susie Bell, hop in the car and I'll take you home. And you say to yourself, oh my, now what am I going to do? What do you suppose you can do? Yes?
Either call for get a taxi or have your parents drive you home?
Yes, and an easy way to say this so that you're not embarrassed and you won't offend them, you can simply say, I'm sorry you've been drinking and I don't want to go home with you. That would be the best thing you could say, but that's not always that easy. Just simply say, my mother is coming after me tonight and she told me to call. And he'd say, oh, don't be silly, I can take you home. Just say, oh no, my mother's expecting me. Call your mother and have your mother come pick you up. Don't get in a car with somebody who's been drinking, please. That is a good question. I think what you might do, well, if they've been drinking, and if lots of people drink too much that are going to be fine as long as they're home. If they're going to be home, they're going to be fine. Their children are going to be happy, and they're going to be happy. They're just going to sit in the living room and not do anything because they've been drinking too much. They can't do anything. If by any chance a person who's been drinking comes in and acts very, very angry, pushes you, or you see them push their child, when you go home, you call the police. Now, remember this, and you can talk about it with the policeman. This is a wonderful question to ask the policeman. Okay, we need to be thinking about questions to ask the police and the firemen. Yes, what she's talking about is a single parent who has to leave the child alone in order to take you home. Some parents will ask you, is there any way your mother can come pick you up? And oftentimes that happens, and you might even want to talk to your mom about that. Say, gee, Mrs. Smith has to leave those kids alone when they come bring me home. Could you come pick me up? I know I've done that for my girls before when they babysat. I've gone to pick them up in similar situations. So that's an ideal thing. If the parents leave the child alone when they come to pick you up, it's not an ideal thing to do, but there's not much you can do about it. What you can do about it is don't you ever do it when you're a parent. Okay? Another thing that happens, one in about a million cases, obviously doesn't happen that often, but you need to be aware that it could possibly happen. Sometimes on the way home, the father might act a little more friendly with you than you care to have the father act. Now, this all goes back to, remember, all the films and whatnot and all the conference talks we've had about better safe than sorry. If a parent attempts to act friendly to you in any way that's not acceptable to you, doesn't feel right, remember we were talking about if something doesn't feel right, it truly doesn't feel right. It's not good. Father puts his arm around you, touches your leg, smiles at you in an uncomfortable way. Be assured you're going to be fine. You will get home in good shape. But what you do is never, ever babysit for that parent again, ever, under any circumstances. If any advances are made to you that are not comfortable with you, never get back into that situation. Tell your parents. And there'll be nothing to do. It's not reportable to the police because nothing has happened. But if it's uncomfortable feeling for you, don't do it. And it's happened before. And if you're comfortable with your ability to say no, remember how we used to talk about saying no? Be comfortable saying no. You'll get home very safely. He'll let you out of the car. You go home, and you just tell your mom what happened and don't go back there again. Okay. Any other questions about what we've talked about? Because now we're going to do some stuff with the baby, but I don't want to leave any questions not answered. The questions that I've not answered, I hope that you've written down to ask either the police or the fire, because they are going to need these questions asked.
The most important thing for a babysitter to do is A. Play with the child. B. Do homework. C. Keep the child safe. D. Feed the child. The answer is C.
The most important thing you're going to learn in this babysitting class is going to be how to prevent accidents, how to keep that child that's in your care safe.
A babysitter should be A. Nice. B. Responsible. C. Friendly. D. Level-headed. E. All of the above. The answer is E.
Looks like we like our babysitters to be nice, responsible, and friendly. The ones, and these are, this absolutely is the most important one. There's another one that's very important. Whoever wrote level-headed, level-headed means probably that if there was an emergency, somebody wouldn't get very panicked. You're using your head in a level way.
Never walk home alone. A, during the day. B, after dark. C, before dark. The answer is B.
We've talked about never, ever, ever walking home by yourself in the dark. Under no circumstances. If it's something that you've been doing, stop doing it.
If you cannot handle the antics of a 3-year-old, A, bring your sister along. B, ignore the child. C, don't babysit. D, call your mother. The answer is C.
If you have a temper, and if you get angry very easily, and if you cannot tolerate the antics of a little 3-year-old who's running all around and getting into everything, don't babysit for that 3-year-old.
The only circumstance that you might bring a friend along is A, you have a house guest. B, you must babysit many children. C, you must do homework. D, you feel sick. The answer is B.
That might be the only circumstance. If you got a call to take care of 6 children, that would be the only condition that you would want to take a friend with you.
On the babysitting pad, put A, names of parents and children. B, neighbor's name and phone number. C, destination and phone number where child's parents will be. D, special instructions. E, all of the above. The answer is E.
Get the child's full name and the parent's full name, where they're going to be, not just the telephone number, but get the name of the place where they're going to be, because maybe by a mistake they've given you the wrong telephone number. And if they have, if you don't know where they are, you won't be able to find out where they are. So get the name of the place where they're going to be and the telephone number. On here is a place for their neighbor or somebody else to call. Get a neighbor's number or a friend of the family's number.
If a parent appears to have been drinking, you should A, call the police. B, tell the parent to take you home quickly. C, call your own parent. D, if the parent is not angry, go with them anyway. The answer is C.
Just simply say, my mother is coming after me tonight and she told me to call. And he'd say, oh, don't be silly, I can take you home. Just say, oh no, my mother's expecting me. Call your mother and have your mother come pick you up. Don't get in a car with somebody who's been drinking, please. important. If you do not know how to diaper a baby, if you don't know how to diaper a baby, you have no business accepting a babysitting job for a baby. So therefore, listen up and practice well. We only have a short amount of time, so what I'm going to say, listen. Baby obviously needs to be changed. Whether the baby needs to be changed because the baby is wet or because the baby has soiled its diaper, it needs to be changed. Don't ever take your hands off a baby, whether it's on a changing table or whether it's on a bed. I would suggest to you that if the changing table that's in the baby's house does not have a strap to it, that you not change the baby on the changing table because you sure don't want this little person rolling off. The best place for you at your ages to change a baby, I believe, is to put a blanket on the floor and change the baby on the floor. That's the safest place for you and the baby. Now, take off the baby's clothing and the baby's soiled diaper. If the baby has cloth diapers, please do the mom a favor, and if there is some fecal material soiling on the diaper, take the diaper and swish it out in the toilet and then put it in whatever container that the mom has provided for you, provided for herself. Okay, and here's the diaper. However mom has it folded, diapers are of various forms and shapes. You've got the baby's soiled diaper off. Baby this size, you can put see how I'm putting my elbow on the baby just to support the baby so the baby's not going to fly all around, and you can still lift the legs up. You do this at least while you're taking care of the legs. Then when you've got the legs, you at least have some part of your body on the baby so the baby can wiggle, but you're still protecting the baby. With this hand, you just lift the little bottom up with your hands, with the legs, slip the diaper very nicely underneath. Okay, it's a pretty good idea to get this diaper in good shape before you get ready to lift the legs up. Lift the legs up and slip the diaper right underneath. Excuse me? It goes this way. This way. Oh, at this point, the pins should be closed. The reason the pins should be closed is if you have an open pin, and even though you may have slipped it into the blanket or to the bed or whatever is next to the baby, this little baby is a very smart little person. And they could very easily, in a snap of your finger, they could reach down, grab this pin, open pin, and put it right in their mouth. And then you have got a real problem. Pin should be closed at this point. Okay. Still with your hand on the baby's tummy. And I might say to you, there's a real difference between, as you all know, between the little boys and the little girls. But the one big difference in diapering a little boy and a little girl is they will. And if you should have something very handy to hold over the little boy here in the front. Because otherwise, if you don't, now don't laugh, please, because we'll never get through this if we don't. Because if you don't, you are going to get wet, and you could get sprayed. And then you really are going to get yourself in a real tizzy. So just protect yourself. Get another little diaper or something. Hold the little diaper over the little boy here so that while you're doing this, he does not spray you. Now, you're all set here. Before you do this, you need to wash the baby off. Now, if the baby is really, really soiled, you should take the soiled diaper out like we just explained and put another diaper or something else underneath while you're cleaning the baby. It's okay when you're first starting out. If you need to use 2 diapers, you need to use 2 diapers. When you're washing, it's extremely important to wash. Most parents have little wipes. And you wash like this and you wash like this. You lift the little legs up and you wash the little bottom, and please make sure everything is off. And you wash from the front to the back. Don't wash from the back to the front. You wash from the front to the back. That's very important. And make sure you get everything off. It's a nice, clean little baby. If you need to use 10 wipes to clean this child, use 10 wipes. Please, please, please. Okay, then you've got this nice, clean diaper underneath. Still holding the baby. Somehow you can still do it. You manage to hold the baby and do this, and you can do it. You might need to fiddle a little bit. Bring the diaper up between the baby's legs. Now, these might be a little long. and if it's a little long, just fold the top underneath. Okay? Now, this is something that gets real tricky. You pull this over like this. Can you all see? Pull this like this and this like this. Now you open up the pin. You can open up the pin with one hand, and you can still hold the baby. Get used to doing it. Now, now you're doing it the wrong way. You're doing it just like I'm going to tell you not to do it. When you're putting the pins into the diapers, and you'll see adults doing this, and a lot of adults don't realize that there's an incorrect way and a correct way to put a diaper in. When you put your diaper pins in, I want you to put it in the pin facing the side. Don't put it in facing the front. So you put this pin in this way, and you put this side in this way. Let me tell you the reason why. If some real fluky thing should happen, and if this pin should open up while it's in the diaper, the worst that's going to happen is the pin will go in and just hit all that fatty tissue that's right there on the side of the baby's hip. It's not going to be pleasant, but it certainly isn't going to be better than if the pin went into the baby's abdomen and hit all those nice little tender organs that's in the baby's abdomen. That is real important. When you pin, this pin goes this way, and this pin goes this way. Also, when you're pinning, make sure your fingers are underneath. And you put one pin in, have it come out, the same piece of material. So it'll stay. If you put one pin in this way and catch it like this, what's going to happen is you've got a very loose diaper, and I don't want to see anybody do that. You put it through two pieces of cloth together. Okay, is anybody having any problems? Okay, I'm going to walk. How do you fold it? Okay, I'm going to walk around and see how everybody's doing. Okay, what is your problem?
Put it under then the top.
Okay, but your baby wouldn't be upside down when you're doing this. Okay, put your fingers underneath. I don't want to see anybody doing this without fingers underneath. Don't make sure it hits your finger rather than the baby.
How do you put it on again?
Okay, now watch. Okay, everybody watch me. Okay, so this is going to go. Shh, girls, keep it down, please. All right, did you see my fingers are right underneath? Keep your fingers underneath.
Yep.
Yes? Oh, please, yeah, go ahead. All right, now this is, if the pins are hard, I understand that. Just make sure you know that I know that you know how to do it, okay? If the baby, a child, becomes all of a sudden very fussy and starts crying, as all babies will do, the baby is either hungry, might have a bubble, of which it would require burping, might need its diaper changed, might just need to be picked up and talked to and cuddled and loved and sung to. If the baby continues to cry and you've checked all of these things, it might even be that the diaper pin is opened up. If you've checked all these things and the baby just won't stop crying, what do you suppose you would do? Is anybody? Yes. Call the mother and just say, baby's crying and I can't get the child to stop crying. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And the baby just won't stop crying. Yes?
Can we check the temperature too?
We'll talk about that in more detail when we talk about first aid, but no, there is never a time when you are to take a child's temperature. The mother may say to you, if you think so-and-so is running a fever, I want you to take his temperature. No, please don't take a child's temperature.
Put our hand on his forehead, see if it's hot.
If you think the child is running a fever, you call the mother and you say, I think your child is running a fever and I'd like for you to come home. Don't ever take a child's temperature. That's too dangerous for you to do. Too dangerous for the child, and you don't need to be put in that position. Yes? I really don't think you should be fooling with those glass thermometers. I would prefer to think that you will not be doing that. Wait till you have your own children, or wait till you go into a program that you need to learn how to take temperatures. Get your little note papers out again, because I'm going to be saying some things that you might want to jot down. A lot of these are common sense things that you already know, but we just need to talk about it a little bit. When you go to a home, and if you notice that there are, please, that there are articles on the stairs, please remove them. Because even though the child will be with you at all times, as you know, you don't want to be stumbling on anything on the stairs while you're helping the child up or down the stairs. Make sure that any kitchen stools or any kitchen chairs are not near the stove. That's an extremely dangerous situation. Lieutenant Spahn will talk more about stoves tomorrow and talk about pots and pans on the stove and what to do with grease fires. But just let me simply say, if there's, and this is a good tip for your own homes, make sure that the handles to a pot that's sitting on the stove is not coming towards you, is directed towards the back of the stove. Yes, can you?
What about if you don't know how to use a stove?
Officer Spahn will talk about that tomorrow. But there's a simple answer to that. If you don't know how to use a stove, don't use it. But he'll get into more of that tomorrow. If you go to a home and you notice that there are medicines that are within reach, please push them back. Because even though you will be with a child at all times, those little fingers are very fast and they can grab things very, very quickly. And this is what happens. The child grabs and puts in the mouth in that much of a second. Please make sure that medicines are out of reach should you notice them. When you're walking up and down the stairs or walking anywhere in the house, if you've got a wee little person like a year older who's just learning to walk, or a year and a half year older, hold the child's hand, because you sure don't want that child stumbling and hitting its head on something while it's in your care. How often do you check a child when the child's sleeping? Yes.
Every half hour.
Every half hour. Good. When the child says to you, I'd like to go outside and play, and if it's a nice sunny day and if it's okay with Mom, if Mom has left those instructions with you before she's left, it's perfectly okay for the child to go outside and play. But where are you going to be when the child, let's say this is a 7-year-older. Where are you going to be when the 7-year-older is outside playing, Sarah?
With the 7-year-old.
With the 7-year-older. That 7-year-older is never going to be out of your sight. While that child is in your care, it would be very wise for you not to let the child ride its bike, because where is a child going to want to ride its bike? Yes. Somewhere away from you. It's not going to ride in a circle right in front of you, is it? So don't let the children ride a bike while they're in your care. The mother says the child may go outside and play, but she doesn't want the other little child to go outside and play. What is your answer, Carrie?
Just let the kids stay inside.
You say to the mother, I'm sorry, I am not comfortable having one of your children outside and one of your children inside. And if the mother gets upset, girls, please, if the mother gets upset with you, that's fine, because the mother's getting upset with you because you have provided the most safe environment for that child. So that's okay. Just don't be fresh. Just be very nice, even if somebody gets upset with you. So you're doing something you know you should do. Be always nice. Yes?
I was just going to say, because if the child's there, I'll say, well, Mom, it's
And say, I'm sorry, I'm your babysitter, you're not going outside. You can discuss it with your mother later. Just be nice. When you're picking up a child, have you ever noticed how some parents will say, okay, let's go over to here. These little arms are attached to our bodies by muscles. And that just kind of, the bone from this arm fits into the socket of our shoulder. Do you know how easily it is for these little sockets to come apart? Don't ever, 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 even though tempting, pick a child up like this. You always pick a child up with your hands right like this. Okay, please don't ever pick a child up like this, no matter how old the child is. Let's not throw our babies around. We don't like to be thrown around. While the child is playing, eating, bathing, watching television, that child is never left unattended. When might be the only time that a child is left unattended? Yes, Lauren? When they're sleeping. And for how long is the child left unattended while they're sleeping? Yes, Amy? Half an hour. Good. Oh, you guys are good. The kitchen is notorious for being the most dangerous place for accidents. But there's also another room in the house that some disastrous accidents have in the past happened. Yes, Mandy? In the bathroom. Can you think of why? Other than the usual, they'll fall and bump their heads type of things, or break a glass. Can anybody else think of why? Sarah?
Like you keep chemicals, keep nothing clean.
Poisons.
And if they eat the soap.
Yes, that would be sort of like under the poisons. Anything else? Yes, Erica?
If there's any medicine in the bathroom.
That would be under poisons as well. Yes, Christy? You meant for where? Yes, exactly. And let me tell you what happens. In fact, let me tell you what happened to my own little granddaughter. I was right there at the bathtub, although this wasn't the toilet, this was the bathtub. Bathtub was right here, and I was right there next to her. I was getting her undressed to get in the bathtub, and she just, as I was pulling off her little diaper, she just kind of leaned over to splash in the water, and lo and behold, because she's so little, she flipped over in the bathtub. And there she was. Her little feet were wiggling, and her head and hands were splashing. And I said to myself, this is what people mean by the bathrooms being one of the most dangerous places in the home. If I was not there, if I had started to fill the bathtub, and if I had gotten a phone call at that very minute, and I had left this little lady in the bathroom to go answer the phone, and that had happened, wouldn't that have been awful when I came back? So two things I learned from that, although I knew it before, was that number one, a child should never be left unattended. And number two, you must always, always, always be careful around water with children. Things can happen when you're right there. Likewise, if they can fall into a bathtub that easily, they can fall into the toilet, and children have drowned in the toilet because what happens is they can't get back out. Their little feet may still not be in the toilet, but their heads are, and they can't get back out. They're too little. Yes? Razors, they could cut themselves. All sorts of reasons why the bathtub is the bathroom is one of the most dangerous. Burning is another thing from the faucets. Children should never, when you're bathing a child, if you are going to be bathing a child, don't let them fool with the faucets because they could accidentally turn on the hot water and burn. And while we're talking about bathing children, if the mother has said to you, yes, I want the child to bathe the child. If the child wants to get themselves undressed, but you don't think they can, please let the child get himself undressed. If you force the child into letting you take the clothes off, what's going to happen is the child is going to say to the mother next morning, boy, she made me take all my clothes off. In fact, she took those clothes off of me myself. Now, what that's going to tell the mother is that you were doing something you shouldn't have been doing. And then she's going to interpret as perhaps you may have been abusing the child. And you don't want that to happen. You know how we teach you again in the Better Safe Than Sorry programs, nobody is to touch you or to take any part of your clothing off that you don't want. So remember, as a babysitter, never take clothing off a child if the child does not want you to. If the child comes in and gets very soiled for some reason and you want to change the child's clothing, that's fine, but if the child doesn't want you to, don't do it. Allow the child to do it themselves. Yes.
But if the kid was in the bathroom alone and you like went out to answer the phone, the kid could go looking through the cabinet to find like one of your dad's shavers or something and cut themselves with it.
That's not going to happen. Do you know why that's not going to happen? Don't remember 20 minutes ago we were talking about that. If the phone rings, you always take the child with you. If the child is in the bathtub, you have two choices. One, let the phone keep ringing, or two, grab the child, wrap quickly with a towel, and go answer the phone. Never leave a child alone, ever. If the child is eating and the phone rings, you take the child with you to the phone. Yes? This always comes up. What if you have to go to the bathroom? Well, let's say I can assume that when any of you go babysitting, that you will have gone to the bathroom just before you leave your house. And you probably are not going to babysit more than 4 hours without the child sleeping. So if you get to a person's house, you don't usually have to go to the bathroom more than 2 hours. You shouldn't have to. And the child is probably going to be sleeping. And if it's a real emergency, you absolutely positively have to go to the bathroom. If it's a little toddler, if it's like a 1 or a 2-year-older, what difference does it make if you take the child into the bathroom with you? If the child is like 4, 5, or 6, station the child outside the bathroom and say, I'm going in the bathroom, you stay right here, and I'll be right out. You can use good common sense. Excuse me?
What if you come out and he's not there?
The thing to do is try not to have to go to the bathroom while you're watching these children until the child is asleep. Yes?
You could take him in and face him towards the door.
You certainly could. You absolutely could. Yes?
If you go in the bathroom with the baby, are you supposed to go to the bathroom while you hold the baby?
You can manage a way. You can always put the baby on the floor. You could figure out a way to do that. Yes?
I have 2 questions. How do you know, like, if the baby doesn't cry, like, okay, so, like, it has something in the diaper.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know if they do if they don't cry?
Well,
Besides
smell. Smell is very obvious. If you are babysitting for a baby who is wearing diapers, at the end of 2 hours, you might just see if you can feel if the baby's wet. Certainly, at the end of 4 hours, just change the baby's diaper anyway. Because if the mother comes home and you've been babysitting for 4 hours, and you said, I didn't have to change the diaper, the mother's going to say, my goodness, that's odd. So about once every 4 hours, the baby's diaper should be changed, even if you don't even think the baby's wet.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of dumb, but what happens if they get stuck in a basket? Because sometimes, like, sometimes they fool around, like, when I was little, we used to, get in baskets, like trash baskets. We used to get in, but we couldn't get out.
Well, if you're going to be doing that type of an activity with a child, you're going to be right there. So if a child gets stuck in this basket, I'm assuming you're talking about an empty waste basket that the child is just playing with while you're being right there. You just pluck the child out.
But what if they don't come out?
Well, I wouldn't imagine that you'd be allowing a child to play in a basket that they could just partially get themselves into. Now, a small waste basket they couldn't get themselves into. A waste basket that was about this big and this tall, I don't imagine you'd be letting them play in it. So I don't think that would be a problem for you. We're going to learn how to do rescue breathing, and we're going to learn how to do the Heimlich maneuver on both the child. Now, everybody listen. I see some kids that aren't listening. On the child and on the infant. A baby this size is going to be choking. Perhaps the only time a baby this size is going to be choking is going to be if you're holding the baby and feeding the baby. Because this baby is not going to be drinking anything or eating anything, the little one, without your being right there. So all of a sudden you're going to hear this baby going, the baby, if it's making a lot of noise and really coughing, you just simply hold the baby up like this. All right, baby, it's all right, baby, you keep coughing. If a person's choking and they're coughing themselves loudly and forcefully, that's the best thing they can do for them. Don't pound them, don't do anything to them. Just support them, tell them that you're there with them, and let them keep coughing. Now, when baby starts doing this, making that kind of a noise, you know, the eyes start coming out, that means the baby can no longer get air in. There's a difference between and now, should a baby be and it happens. Let me tell you that in 3 of the babysitting classes, I've had parents come back to me within a year or 2 later saying that because they learned how to do this in the babysitting class, that they were in fact able to prevent a child from choking. So this is really important. It's real easy. Not only for when you're babysitting, but what about your own younger brothers and sisters and your nieces and nephews? I mean, this is a good thing to learn, not just when you're babysitting, but to help wherever you are. Okay, whose did I grab? Okay, now this little fella is coughing. Okay, it's all right, it's all right. You just sit right here when you cough. And he's going to cough it up. Nothing about this is pleasant. It's frightening, and nothing is pleasant about it. But don't panic. If the child starts to spit up, don't go, ooh. It's all right to do it afterwards, but please, the child needs your help. So just get through whatever you have to get through. If you were coughing and choking and spitting up all this stuff, and you needed somebody to help, would you want them to go, ooh, I can't do it, and run away and leave you alone? No. So even though I'm not saying you have to like it, I'm not saying you're going to have to want to do it, but you have to do it. You have to save this child's life, should that be the case. Okay, this little guy is coughing and coughing and coughing. All of a sudden, ooh, up it comes, and you say, oh, phew, everything's fine. Get him all cleaned up, and then you make a phone call to the mom and say, you should know that your little fella just choked, but he's fine. He's breathing. His color is fine. If you want to come home, but we're all set. This little fella is now going. So you say, oh my goodness, this little person can't breathe. So you simply take the child like this, okay? Head down, head down. Don't hold the head up. Head down. Support the child's neck like this. Don't choke. Please don't choke. Just support the head. Remember, this is a young baby. Pound 4 times. Don't smash. Pound. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hand here. Hand here. Okay. Tip the baby over. Now, every person in this world has 2 little nipples. It's called the nipple line. You put your fingers like this. 3 fingers. This finger being right at the nipple line, okay? 3 fingers, right? Lift this finger up. So your other 2 fingers are now 2 fingers below, 1 finger below the nipple line. Everybody got that? Anybody confused? Don't do it this way. Do it this way. Lift this finger up. Okay? Now this baby is still going. Okay, now you press down about a 1/2 inch. Don't press down like that because now you've really squished the poor little child. You press down about a 1/2 inch to an inch and you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, baby's still going, do this. Baby over. Remember, this is a small child who's panicked, and you're probably getting pretty frightened yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, with a child this age, who's obviously still going, I could carry this child to the telephone, couldn't I? And if after doing this a couple times, the child is still wheezing, not able to breathe, pick up the phone, call the operator. If you instantly cannot remember the number of the fire department, who will call for an ambulance, you call the operator and you say, I need help, I have a child who's choking, excuse me, and you hang on to that phone. Don't say, I need help, I have a child who's choking, clunk. Because that poor operator is not going to know where in the world you are. Don't call and say, this is Susie Jones, I need help, the child is choking, clunk. Or you don't call and say, Amy Smith is choking. You need to, you be the last one to hang up. The operator will ask you all kinds of questions. You be the last one to hang up, always. Flip it over. And remember, 3 fingers. Okay, nipple line. Lift that finger up. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's best that you do this on a flat surface. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pick the child up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Protect the child's head. Put the child back down. Now, what's happened is, all of a sudden, the child isn't even making that noise anymore. What's happened is his little body is just given out and he's become unconscious. Now he's not doing anything. What happens sometimes when a person becomes unconscious because they're choking, all the muscles that were like this, all of a sudden become very relaxed. So if that happens and no noise is coming out of this child, which is not very good, you look inside the mouth like this, and you might be able to see the object. If you can see the object with your thumb on the tongue, like this, you just sweep it out. If you cannot see the object, don't you dare put your finger in the mouth. Okay. Now, we have to try to get some air into this baby's mouth. Because this baby's gone unconscious, it's not doing any breathing now. You can practice on your babies, but you're going to be tested out on this baby. You put your mouth over the nose and the mouth. Okay? Now, it will watch. The head goes back. Don't tip the baby's head back too far. Baby's head is pretty straight. If you do too far, you won't get air in. If you do it like this, you won't get air in. It needs to be just straight. Okay? Put your hand underneath the chin. And you put your mouth over nose and mouth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it so you can what? You should be able to see the baby's chest rise. This is not how you do it. You do it on a flat surface. But I'm just doing it so you can see how air can get in. And I hope the air will go in. You see the air go in? See the chest rise? I can hear it. I can hear it. It goes in. Let me show you over here. Who didn't see it? Did you see it? Did you see it? Okay, you guys come over here. Can you see how it goes in?
No.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and that's it's just as soft. Okay, girls. It's just a small little puff of air. You don't go, because those poor little lungs inside the baby can't tolerate all that. Just a soft little amount of air. Okay, so we've looked inside the mouth. Cannot see an object. You do this with me, okay? I'll go slow. Try to get air. Excuse me? What if it's not your doll? Pretend. Don't put your mouth over it. Just blow on the cheek. Okay? You get your practice on this one. Try to get air in now. Obviously, if there's an object inside here, you're not going to get air in. But maybe the object has moved just enough so that you can get air in. If you didn't get... Just pretend. Just pretend. Cabbage Patch babies don't... All babies don't look like the Cabbage Patch babies. Babies look more like this baby. All right. Didn't get air in. You tip the baby back over, protecting its head. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put your hand here. Put the baby back on here. Do this again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look inside the mouth. No, I don't see an object. Try to get air in. Okay, and you keep doing this. You keep doing this. You keep doing this. You keep doing this. Pardon? You breathe just. You try to get 2. You do it twice. Try. Shh. Try to get air in. You try twice to get air in. Because you can see it when you're doing it. You can see it. You will be able to tell more on this. When you practice on this, you will definitely be able to tell that you can get air in. Yes.
You go this way. You hold the
This way. Okay, you have found a baby. You walk in and you're checking the baby. You're checking the baby. You check a baby every half hour when you're babysitting. So the baby's gone to bed, you go up and check that baby every half hour, not every hour, every half hour, yes.
What is it really like sleepers, and every time you go in there, you wake them up and you have to put them back to sleep?
Tiptoe. Tiptoe. Please don't try to wake them up every half hour because you won't be happy. All right, baby. Baby seems to be just kind of laying there, and you don't like the way this baby looks. So you say, baby, baby, are you all right? Baby's still kind of just laying there. So what you do is you put your hand, this is called rescue breathing. This is a part of the CPR course. It's not the CPR course, but it's a part of the CPR course. You put your hand on the baby's head, tip the chin just ever so slightly, and you listen to see if you can hear the baby breathing. You can feel the baby breathing on your cheek. You can listen, you look at the chest to see if it's coming up. You look, listen, and feel. Feel means feel the breath. Listen means hearing for the breath. And looking means, come on, guys. Looking means looking at the chest to see if it can rise. You check the baby's breathing for 3 to 5 seconds. If you do not look, hear, or feel any breathing, then you give the baby 2 breaths. Now, you reach down. See this arm here? Feel your own arms. You can feel there's a pulse right here. Oh, no. Yeah, right. Sorry. Right. This is called the brachial pulse right here. You feel it? You should be able to feel it. Can you feel it? Okay. With your fingertips, don't reach over the baby. The arm that's closest to you, you feel for the baby's pulse. And you check the baby's pulse for 5 to 10 seconds. If you feel a pulse, that's what you want to feel. You're real happy you feel a pulse. It means the baby just isn't breathing due to whatever. All right, but this baby's got a pulse. And you look, listening, feeling at the same time for breathing. Baby has a pulse, but baby's not breathing. So now you have to breathe for this baby. And you breathe 1 breath every 3 seconds. So what you do is this. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. And you keep doing this, and you do it for about a minute. At the end of a minute, you check again. Check for the pulse. Make sure the baby still has a pulse. Make sure the baby's still breathing. Baby still has a pulse, but baby's still not breathing. So you start in all over again. 1 breath every 3 seconds. You do this until the baby breathes on its own. Now, somebody says, what if the baby still doesn't breathe on its own? You keep doing it and doing it and doing it. At some point, you have to start calling for help. Help, 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 help. Now, if you see somebody walking by the house, you're going to be screaming for help. But the most important thing is that you do this. After you've been doing it, I'd say for about 10 minutes, and if the baby's still not breathing, go to the phone and call the operator, the fire department. Tell them you have a baby who's not breathing. Yes?
What if you can't find the pulse? Because I have a hard time finding my pulse.
Yeah, so do I.
If you can't find a pulse, that's another whole thing. That's the full CPR course. Then you go into CPR and you start doing chest compressions for the baby to get their heart beating. You should be able to feel your pulse. When you come in, I will show you how to feel your pulse. Okay?
Can you find it on your wrist and on their wrist if it's easier for you?
Not on the baby. No, you have to feel it right here on the baby. Because on a baby, and there's all kinds of reasons for which you won't understand, but you can't, on a child you feel it here, but on a baby you feel it here. Okay, so how many breaths do we give? Yes. Okay, how many breaths do we give? Yes. 1 every 3 seconds. Okay, let's practice. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. How long are we going to do this for?
10 minutes.
Then what are we going to do? Check the pulse. And what else? Pardon? For the breathing, right. How long do you check the pulse for?
5 minutes.
Right. How long do you check the breathing for?
3 to 5.
Yeah, so you guys are good. Okay, now, how long are you going to keep up this whole thing? How long are you going to do? This is called rescue breathing. How long are you going to do rescue breathing for, Valerie? How long are you going to do rescue breathing for, Caroline?
Until the baby has started breathing outside.
Yes, or, which I have not mentioned yet, so you may not get this one. You do it until the baby starts breathing on its own, or until, Christy, somebody comes, exactly. Somebody, not the neighbor. Somebody like the fire department or a rescue person. Okay, yes. Okay, good question. If the baby's pulse, if you can feel the baby's pulse, that means the baby's heart's breathing. And if you can get air into those lungs, the baby can live forever with you doing this. Anybody can live forever as long as it has oxygen and as long as the heart's beating. That's why it's so important not to stop doing it.
But if you don't do that, like if you're babysitting an older kid and a younger one, and you're going to get the older one, the younger one's in its crib, and it starts being unconscious and stuff, and you think it's just asleep, how long would it be able to stay alive until it?
Yeah.
Check.
If a baby, a person can stay alive for a while without breathing, but a brain will not stay alive more than 4 minutes without oxygen. Was that your question? Yes. So if a person stops breathing, you must get oxygen into them in 4 minutes. However, it's not up to you to determine how long anybody has been not breathing. If I were to stumble across an adult laying in the middle of the street, I would not say to myself, I wonder how long he's been laying there, and I wonder how long he's not been breathing. I would go right ahead and do CPR. It's not up to me to determine how long. It's up to me to try to get the heart beating and air into the lungs. Yes?
How am I supposed to call for help if you're trying to have the baby breathe?
Okay, at some point, at the end of 10 minutes, somebody mentioned 10 minutes, Valerie ended 10 minutes. If you've been doing this for 10 minutes, baby's still not breathing, this is when you make a decision. Can you take a minute out to go ahead and make a phone call and get help? I would say yes at the end of 10 minutes. If there is an older brother or sister around, of course you're going to be saying, go get some help. Go to the phone, call the operator. The universal symbol for choking. And you can actually help an adult. You don't even have to be babysitting to help in a situation like this. You know what the universal symbol for choking is? That's right. If you're in a restaurant, or if your parents are near you, or anybody, and they go, and they're making that awful, awful sound, you say to yourself, that person must be choking. So you get up, you run over to them, and they say, and you say, are you all right? And you say, can you speak? So you say to them, I'm going to help you. You stand behind this person. Make a fist like this. I want to see you all make a fist with your thumb just like my thumb is, okay? Now, everybody has a belly button. And everybody has, your ribs come down to here, and the ribs come up. And everybody has a nice fleshy part to their tummies. So somewhere between, not low, but somewhere between your belly button and the bottom of the rib cage, just right there. You are not to be on top of your ribs. You're not to be on top of this little process that comes down here. You're supposed to be right here. You come in, and it's this kind of, you come in sort of like it's an in and up at the same time. In and up. Like that. You do that. So somebody who's conscious, and they're making that, hold it on. And I'm not going to do it very firm. And listen up. This is real important. If somebody were really choking, you'd really do this really firm. But I don't want you to practice because you could hurt somebody now by doing it. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to be very gentle. Now, I'm going to find this nice little fleshy part to her tummy, and I'm going to go like this. I'm going to hand like this, and I'm going to be protecting her her body is in front of mine. And I'm going to go in and up. And I'm just going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. Now, you've all had anatomy, and you all know that your diaphragm sits. It's a very muscular part of your body. It kind of holds your lungs and everything else up into the upper part of your chest. This diaphragm sits right like this. Now, this fluid is caught in your trachea, which is your tube that comes down here into your lungs, right down here. So, if you're putting pressure on this diaphragm like this, and you've got something that's caught in here, it's like popping a cork. The pressure you're doing this, you're putting pressure, and hopefully the pressure is going to make that thing pop out. And it does work. It has worked. It's worked in kids that have been babysitting before. So, what you say is, can we all do this calmly and quietly? I want you to, before you do a thing, listen to me. Choose a partner. Okay, quietly now. We'll do this all together. When it comes time to be doing this, do it gently. Do not fool around. When it comes time to practice, come on guys, listen up. When it comes time to practicing on this guy, I'll let you do it really firm. But don't be firm on your partners. Okay. Catherine, may I use you again? And then I'll let you practice on somebody. Okay. How you're going to get past on choking for a conscious person, you're all going to have to do it on me. And that's how you get past on that. Okay. Got your partners? You might as well stand to do this. And we're going to do it calmly and quietly. Okay, all right, now wait, let's not start. There's a couple steps, you're all set to go. There's a couple steps we've forgotten already. Are you all right? Are you all right? Can you speak? Can you speak? I am going to help you. All right, good. Okay, now, take your hands. Don't do anything until we're going to do it together. Take your hands, okay? Step behind the person. Now, if they're still clutching like this, you need to get their hands away, because these hands are in your way. You go underneath, right? Find that nice fleshy part of the tummy. Remember, not on top of the ribs. Okay? Okay. All right. Now, gently, very gently. Go in and up at the same time. Very gently. Now, don't roll your wrist. Kids, listen up. Listen up. Listen up, guys. Some of you are rolling your wrist. Shh. Some of you are rolling your wrist. That's not what you need to do. You need to be going like this. You're using these muscles here. It's an in and up. You want to practice on somebody else? Practice for 2 minutes and swap partners.
When you're finished, sit down so I know you're finished.
So you all know how to save somebody who's choking now, don't you? Somebody who is conscious while they're choking. Now, what about this poor little guy? That I can't imagine this ever happening while you're babysitting, that you would stumble across a toddler who was unconscious, because a toddler who is not in bed is going to be under your eyes every minute. And this toddler is not going to be getting into anything to choke on while you're taking care of them, are they? No, because you're going to be with them. They're not going to be playing with little toys that they can choke on, and they're not going to be eating unless they're sitting. But anyway, maybe you are at the beach, and you see somebody who's laying on the beach, or maybe you've walked into your friend's house, and your friend appears to be unconscious, or your friend's little brother's unconscious, or you think he's unconscious. So you walk in, and this child is just kind of laying on the floor. You're going, you all right? Are you all right? This child is not responding, and you say to yourself, oh my goodness, what is wrong? So the child didn't respond. So again, like we did with the baby, don't tip the head way back. Now, don't practice on these babies because this is going to be different. Unfortunately, the only time we'll have to practice is with this little guy. Tip the child's head up like this. Okay. And don't put your hand on the neck because if the child is choking or is having trouble breathing, by putting your hand on the neck is going to cause even more trouble. Some people put their hand here. And they're really upset, and they've got the weight of their body on this poor child's chest. Just start out from the very beginning doing this. Okay, and you look, listen, and feel. Listen up, everybody. You look, listen, and feel for how many seconds?
3 to 5.
3 to 5, right. I looked, listened, and feel for 3 to 5 seconds, and I did not feel, or I did not hear, and I did not see any signs of breathing. Pinch this little guy's nose, and I'm going to breathe into its mouth. And you should see the chest go up. Okay, you can come close. Do you see it go up?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, all right, now watch with the head down. I can't get any air in. If I put the head way back, I didn't get any air in. Okay, now you should see it go up a little bit. Do you see it go up?
Yeah.
I can see it move. Okay. Now, if you can't get air in the first time you do, it's perfectly okay. You must move the head. Now, you put your hand right here. Slip your hand over. Can you all feel your pulse? You should be able to. Okay. On an adult and on a child, not an infant, an adult and a child. Put your hand right here, not here, but here, and slip your hand down in here. And you feel for pulse for how many seconds? 5 to 10 for seconds. Okay. At the same time, you look, listening, and feeling. Now, this child has a pulse, but it's still not breathing. I better give this child some breath. Okay? You sure? Yeah. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000. Now we do this for a minute, like with a baby, and then we will recheck the pulse and the breathing at the end of a minute. And we continue the cycle until he responds or until help arrives. If you can't get any air in, even after you've repositioned the head, probably assume the child is choking. So now this child is unconscious because it's choking. So now what do? We can try to get this thing out. I have to go on the floor to do this. Use the palm of your hand, right? And you do this. Do this, right? Okay. Now, I'm not going to go straight down, because if I go straight down, the only thing I'm doing is pushing on his abdomen. What I want to do is I want to put pressure on that diaphragm again to uncork that thing that's, to pop that thing that's in there. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I come up here, and I look inside his mouth. I don't see anything, so I'm not going to dig it out. All right, proper way to feed a baby. You are seated like this. Now, a young baby, you can put the arm right behind you. A toddler isn't going to let you do that. The toddler's hands are going to be everywhere. Don't have the baby laying down like this. The baby should be pretty much in an upright position, obviously, because the food is going to go down. Pop the bottle in. Don't let the baby drink any air. A small baby, you probably feed it 1 to 2 ounces, however many ounces the mother tells you. And if after it's had a certain amount, you put the bottle down. And protecting the head. You might want to put something on your shoulder, because babies do spit out. Okay, after the baby's in a nice burp, you give them more food. When it gets towards the end of the bottle, you know when the little bubbles come, stop it. Don't let them drink the bottle and the air, because the air going in their tummies is going to cause a royal tummy ache. Then you're going to have a real fussy baby on your hands. Yes?
If they're real little, can you feed them this way so you don't have to, because they're like really...
A real little baby, I would feed them like this. Because this way you've got your hands on their legs. Did you notice how I'm doing this? I've got this arm protected under here. This little arm, now if I was sitting, I could also be doing this, holding this little hand and holding the legs too. You need to be very careful, very, very careful. And when you move the baby, just make sure you're protecting the head. Don't let the head flop.
What did you do if the mother says to rock the baby to sleep but feed her at the same time?
Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's wonderful. You can sit right here and rock this baby to sleep and feed it. That's a wonderful thing to do. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Just don't ever leave the baby unattended while it's eating.
The safest place for a new babysitter to change a baby is A, on a bed, B, on a dressing table, C, on the floor, D, do not change the baby. The answer is C.
The best place for you at your ages to change a baby, I believe, is to put a blanket on the floor and change the baby on the floor. That's the safest place for you and the baby.
When putting in the diaper pin, you should A, keep the pin closed until you are ready to use it. B, pin from front to back. C, keep your fingers underneath the diaper. D, all of the above. The answer is D.
Pin should be closed at this point. Okay, put your fingers underneath. I don't want to see anybody doing this without fingers underneath. When you put your diaper pins in, I want you to put it in the pin facing the side. Don't put it in facing the front.
If a baby is very fussy, you should check. A, is a child hungry? B, does a child have a bubble? C, is a diaper soiled? D, will cuddling help? E, all of the above. The answer is E.
The baby is either hungry, might have a bubble, of which it would require burping, might need its diaper changed, might just need to be picked up and talked to and cuddled and loved and sung to.
If, after checking the baby, the child will not stop fussing, you should A, put the child to bed, B, call the parents, C, call the doctor, D, call Mrs. Pluff. The answer is B.
Call the mother and just say, baby's crying and I can't get the child to stop crying. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And the baby just won't stop crying.
The longest amount of time a child should be left unattended while sleeping is A, 1 hour, B, 45 minutes, C, 30 minutes, D, 2 hours. The answer is C.
How often do you check a child when the child's sleeping? Yes.
Every half hour.
Every half hour. Good.
If a child is conscious and coughing forcefully, you should A, watch, comfort, and support the child. B, hit the child 4 times. C, run for the phone. D, do the Heimlich maneuver. The answer is A.
If a person's choking and they're coughing themselves loudly and forcefully, that's the best thing they can do for them. Don't pound them, don't do anything to them. Just support them, tell them that you're there with them, and let them keep coughing.
If a child is choking and unconscious, the first thing you should do is A, breathe 2 breaths. B, take the pulse. C, look, listen, and feel for breathing. D, do 8 abdominal thrusts. The answer is C.
Look, listen, and feel for how many seconds? 3 to 5. Right.
When feeding an infant, you should A. Lay the child down. B. Let the child drink to the bottom of the bottle. C. Support the child so that the child's head is upright. The answer is C.
Don't have the baby laying down like this. The baby should be pretty much in an upright position, obviously, because the food is going to go down.